So we're working on a 2005 Coleman Fleetwood pop-up. The crank quit working, popping it up, so we had to take off the front panel. So we had to unbolt the bottom bolts along the bottom of the front shield. And then we had to drill out 9 rivets in the front. They're the expanding rivets. After we drilled out the rivets, we had to flex the shield down to get it out. So after we get the shield out, we pound out the shear pin. There's a shear pin in here we had to pound out. And on this model, there is not a bolt inside like the replacement kit. We had to pound out the shear pin through here. We pound out the shear pin through here. And once you pound those out, this chain was wrapped around the bottom there. After we pound out the rivets, we pulled out the center shaft that was broken. And you'll see inside here. Here's the chain. And this is the part that's bad. So we went to popupparts.com and ordered a new one for a top crank up Fleetwood. And we're going to replace that and a new clutch inside. And we're going to pop out the 2 bearings here and here. I'll show you in a minute how I'm going to get those out. So I ordered the kit. It took a little over a week and a half to come. But I'm going to show you how to push in the bearings. The outside bearing and the inside bearing. We had to pry this one out, push this one in. And then these are the new parts. With the new clutch. We have to use the old crank wheel. It came with a new anti-reversal piece too. So we had to pound out the inside bearing. Notice we had to use boards to prop up the top. Try the bottom a little bit. Here, I'll give you a wedge.
This isn't working.
Let me try this. Just a wedge along the top. And the outside one we did pound it in a little bit. So we had to stick the old crankshaft in and jiggle it around back and forth until we were able to pull it out. So to push the bearing and to squeeze the bearing back in place, we used a wheel puller, but instead of pulling it, we put it in the back, and as we spin the wrench, we pressed it back in place, put a piece of plate behind there, and just threaded it and squeezed it back into place.
Alright, so when changing the spring, it's kind of a pain in the butt. You have to have the bolt through here and the spring on at the same time in order to get this little piece to sit in here. The smaller one goes up top so this key fits in. The large one comes out this hole here. The easiest way to do it was to poke it through the hole, have it sneak there, again sitting on this point, and then screwing in the bolt after.
Alright, right now we got both bushings in place. I put the washer inside the hole here. Now we're going to take the gear with the chain, the clutch, and then the gear, the ratchet gear, and we're going to insert it, this shaft, into the hole. So we're going to line the chain through there. It helps having a couple hands. Alright, we got the washer back that we dropped. Let's put the washer back in place. Here, put the washer behind that. You gotta watch out for the ratchet dog. You want me to put my finger and hold that? Or?
It's good American.
I got it. And hold. You want this, hold it in there?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, but I need to get the chain around the other part.
Well, I only have 2 hands. Can you hold that, sir?
No.
Yes, you can. You're doing a fine job. Jesus Christ. This is what those camper shows don't show you.
Let me put this on here, the chain on here first. Give me some slack. Put the chain around the...
Take the camera away. The top.
So it took a couple of us to line it up and to get everything and lined together in the washer in place. The washer kept falling, but we used a small a pointy object to point in there, a punch. And after we lined everything up, we pushed this in, and then we spun it around and lined it up so we can line up that shear pin. So I spun it till a nail slides in here. Now it's lined up. Now we can pound this shear pin in there. So we made sure the ratchet dog was in the tooth. We screwed in this shaft. I put a nail in there so we can tighten this up fairly snug before we put the shear pin in. And then inside here, you put in a nylon bushing. Then you put the spring in, widen in first. And then we're going to put this, I used a regular car socket wrench. 3/4 inch wrench. And we'll screw this socket on. So I put a little nut in here for a spacer. And then put on the nut. And hand started it. And now we'll just snug it up to make it kind of, we'll just make it snug. That's good. So when we put in this shaft in here, we had to turn the gear so that the little pin, the ratcheting pin, was jammed up underneath the tooth when we pushed it in. So it's hard keeping tension on this spring and pushing this in place. And once we threaded this in, I just took a small little hammer and we pounded the roll pin in there. So next I'm going to put some Loctite. I'm going to spin the outer shaft on. Spin this on. We'll thread this on nice and tight. And then inside, I stuck the spring in the little nylon bushing inside, and then a washer goes over it. So after I thread this shaft in with Loctite, I put some Loctite on the nut. Then I took like a spark plug socket, put a nut inside of it to hand start it. I hand started it, got it pretty snug, and then I put a wrench in there, and I just tried to get it so I jammed a wedge in there just to make this so it was just snug. And then now I'm going to take it and pound the roll pin into this with a hammer. Here's the finished product. Everything went up fine. I used a longer shear pin because the short ones they gave me didn't seem like they were long enough. And the kit we used on this 1995 was actually for 2006, so this one had the socket bolt, whereas the 95 was a little different. But everything cranked up fine. Just was hard to finesse. It's the gear that goes inside the stop that goes inside the gear was hard to. You had to spring the pressure down and then center everything while you pushed everything inside of it.